Hi everyone, I'm Chris. Welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, I will show you step by step how to install Nextcloud All-in-One using Docker Compose. Storing its data in a dedicated Btrfs subvolume on a separate partition. If you are looking for a reliable, secure self-hosted cloud storage solution and want to learn how to set it up properly, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. Okay guys, let's start with this tutorial. You can go to the link I'm gonna leave in the description and it will point to this website, and this is like the guide we are going to follow in order to install Nextcloud. Okay, so there are some requirements. One of them is you need access to your router to forward port 80 and 443 to your server, and you need domain name. You can create one in DuckDNAs. It's free, and so it could help you create a domain name. And we need to know how to open these ports, and I will show you how to do that. So in this case, I'm gonna enter into my gateway, which is .0.1. Okay, and once here, you need to know your password and username. Okay, once you are here in your administration and you can set up or open your ports, you will go to application and port forwarding, and I have some ports open already. So let's see this one. It's the port 443 and the port 80. So basically what you have to do is you have to open it for one for wireless, and for your Ethernet or cable one, it is gonna be the same. You can open it in the same port. You can like bind the same port in the internet and in your server, and the same for the cable. It should be something like this. They have to be similar, 443 to 443 and 443 to 443 in the LAN. And you should provide your server's IP and the TCP protocol, or you can use both of them, TCP and UDP. That's it. Basically, you put a description why you are opening this port, and that's it. So you need to check that the ports are open. So how do you do that? First of all, you can open a temporary server with OpenSSL. You already have that. So you go to the terminal and you open a server inside the server. So first of all, what you're going to do is log into your server. So SSH Chris at Nube. And this is my passphrase to unlock my SSH key. So now I am at my server, and I'm gonna create a temporary server inside my server. So this will basically be listening in the port 443. So if my port is actually open, I will be able to have an answer from this temporary server from outside the internet. So I'm gonna create this temporary server, and I'm gonna go to this website. Can you see me? And this is my public IP address, and this is going to be the port I want to check. So I'm gonna check the 443, and it is open. It says successfully. So it is open. So like I opened both of them, we are going to check the port 80. So now we are going to do the same, but we need to cancel this server. It's very easy. Control C, and now your server is down. Then your temporary server, you're gonna clear the console, and you're gonna run the same for the 80. The 80 port, and now you go here again, and now you try to have an answer in the port 80. And it's taking a long time. I already know this because my ISP, my internet service provider, is blocking my port 80. So even though in my router the port is open, the requests are blocked in my ISP, so they won't even get here to my router. So that's why I don't have access through the port 80. So that's a very important requirement from Nextcloud. So we are going to have to do a trick if we just have access to the 443 port. Usually they block port 80 and 25, the ISP. It says most residential ISP block ports to combat viruses and spam. And these are the most common blocked ports, even though you open them. So, but with 443 opened, you will be able to set this up. So you have to have access to your router and check that the ports were successfully open, and you have to create one duck DNS. So I'm gonna create a domain name. So I'm gonna log into my duck DNS. You can register or sign in with this social media. Okay, so once you log in, you are going to be given a token. So this is very important to set this duck DNS. And you can create a subdomain. I already have one. I'm going to create it once again. So I'm gonna create a subdomain. It could be like this. Okay, so this is gonna be my subdomain, and this is the domain duckdns, and I'm gonna create that one. So now it is pointing to my public IP address. And later on this project, we are going to make duckdns to point to our public IP address automatically. But for right now, it is working as it should. Now we have our subdomain and our domain created. So we're gonna have this information in mind. Now we come back here. Now we have our duckdns domain name and our port 443 open. We're going to continue. If you have both of them open, you can skip the SSL setup, and you have to modify 2 lines of the compose YAML file, just in case both of your 80 and 443 ports were successfully open. But if you only have the 443 open, then you will have to follow the entire process. Okay, so we're going to set up the Nextcloud project directory, and so we're going to create this config dir directory inside our conf file subvolume. So do you remember we created some subvolumes? So we created this one, the config files for the configuration files of every subvolume. So this is going to be the configuration for Nextcloud, and we're going to make this directory in order to store our configuration backup in here. And we need to give it permission and ownership to Nextcloud. So Nextcloud must have access to this file. So that's why you are changing the owner of this directory. And if it had some files inside the directory, you should do that as well. So let's do it. Let's run this command. We can now cancel this server, and that's gonna be all. Let's clear this console, Control Shift V, and now we successfully created this directory. You can check that with the tree command. If you don't have the tree command, you can install it with sudo apt install tree, and you're going to install this command. It's very useful. I already have it. So clear. So we're going to check our structure of our directory mnt. So sudo tree and mnt. And now you can see the structure that is right now in the subvolumes directory. We have these directories for each subvolume. And inside the config files subvolume directory, we created 2 directories. Inside Nextcloud AIO, you are going to create all the configuration files needed. And this config dir is for the actual backup of Nextcloud of all your configuration. And your user photos, videos, and personal information is going to be stored in the Nextcloud subvolume. So one is for configuration and the other is just for your personal files. So if you need to create your certificates, if you don't have access to your 80 port, then you will follow these commands. First of all, we have to make a directory, create a directory that is going to be acme. This is the command that we are going to use to create the necessary certificates in order to access to our Nextcloud web interface. And we are going to give it the owner as our user. So we're gonna do that, copy, we're gonna create that directory, and now we are going to download this acme program, and it will create the credentials we need, and we are going to have this acme added to our bash rc. So we're going to have this command available on each terminal we open. So you just copy this. So it downloads the script, and now you restart your terminal. And now you have to register. It's pretty simple. You don't have to get a confirmation code inside your email or anything. You just have to provide an email. Okay, so now you are registered, and you are going to be given a password just in case you need that in the future. So you just have to create a directory where you are going to store this information. So before you click enter, copy this, the password, and you can say save something like your email and your password in this file we are going to create, that is going to be inside the Nextcloud configuration directory. So now you can hit enter, and you can say something like your email, so you will remember which email you used. It's gonna be something like, and your password. And now you have your email and your password inside this file. So you go with Control X, Y, and enter, and now you save this file. Let's check. Clear, sudo tree, and the directory mnt. And now you see that we have our Acme credentials file with this password and email, and we have our Acme directory. In here we are going to store the credentials that we need to access our Nextcloud's website interface. Finally, you just need to create the certificates with this command. You will help yourself with a txt directory, a file, a temporary file. You're going, so it is easier for you to edit this one. So it will request you your token, your DNS token, and so you're going to provide that one. So you go here and you copy your token, and you can paste it here, and you have you provide your subdomain name. So you just delete this reminder, and you just copy your subdomain, which is this one, this subdomain, because the domain is DNS, and the subdomain is this one that you created. So you paste it here. So your subdomain .dns.org. So now you don't have to save this one, you just copy this, and now you go to the terminal. Let's clear this one, Ctrl+Shift+V, and enter, and it's creating our certificates that we need. We can discard this txt file, and it's going to make some checks on these certificates. Okay guys, so this could take a little bit of time, and it could take a couple of minutes, and if you see that this is stuck, maybe the server is busy and you should try this in a couple hours, or maybe you've done this many times during a short span of time. So just give it a couple of hours and the server will give you these certificates, and they're gonna be stored in this directory. I'm gonna show you sudo tree and mnt. So now the certificates are here in this directory, and we are going to change the permissions so Nextcloud can have access to these files. So we're gonna do that in a second. These certificates have a lifespan of about 90 days. So 30 days or prior before expiration, they are going to be renewed by a script. So we will have to run this script as a cron job every day to check the expiration date of these certificates. So all you have to do is run this job user sudo. So we are going to list the cron tab jobs for my user, and as you see, I have my user is running this cron job every day at this time. So I'm gonna change this because I need to run this but as sudo, so I'm gonna delete this one. So you just have to copy this, Ctrl+Shift+V, and I'm gonna delete this line with Ctrl+Shift or K, and you're gonna save it with Ctrl+X, Y, and enter. So now we are going to list again the cron tab jobs, and we don't have any. So now we're going to create one but as sudo. So you're going to edit the sudo cron tab file, and we're gonna add these lines at the end of this file. So you're gonna go to the end and you're gonna Ctrl+Shift+V, and now we have the two cron jobs that we need to run every day. So every day at 18:35, it is in the afternoon, it's going to check if you have to renew the certificates. And just in case your server is not turned on at this time, we will check every time the server is turned on or reboot, so you don't miss this job every day. So you're gonna save it, Control X, Y, and enter. Let's clear this console. And now we need the permissions of these files for the Nextcloud service. So we're going to change the permission and ownership to the Nextcloud user. So the owner is gonna be Nextcloud and he can access these files. So you do that. So now we're going to download the compose file in order to deploy our container, Nextcloud container. So you have to download this. Just be careful to combine this into a single line. Okay, this is a very long command, so that's why it is in 2 lines right now, but you have to combine it into one single line. So you're gonna go all the way, Control and left arrow, and in here you're gonna delete and space, and you make it only just one line. So basically it is downloading this file, which is I'm going to show you, is this one, is this file we are going to download. It's the original or the official Nextcloud compose YAML file of Nextcloud, but it has some modifications we are going to see later. So is downloading this file into this directory, which is in the configuration subvolume we created in the Nextcloud directory, and it's going to leave it in this file and the file, yeah. So enter. Now it downloaded it. So clear. Let's check this out. So we go with sudo 3 and mnt, and in here you can see that we have our compose YAML file. Okay, so we have our compose and we have our certificates, and this directory and these files had the correct permissions and owner. In case your ISP is not blocking the ports and they were successfully opened, you don't need to create these certificates, and so you skipped this step, this whole step, and in here you just have to delete these 2 lines from the compose file. How do you do that? You just edit this file. You have to edit this file and delete 2 lines of this file. So you go with sudo nano and mnt subvolume config Nextcloud, and you go with compose. So these are the lines that were added, and what these lines do is they replace the original certificates from Nextcloud for our created certificates, and it's going to be read only. So our certificates will remain the same, and the container will not modify our certificates that we created. So you have to mount these in order to change this file, the certificates in the original Nextcloud configuration. You have to mount this as a volume, and it's not a volume, you're just replacing the original certificates for the one that works for us, that you created. Okay, but if your server is not blocking, if your ISP is not blocking the port 80 nor 443, you go ahead and feel free to delete these lines. You just go here and you press Ctrl Shift K and it will delete it, but we will not. Okay, so these two lines were added, and here we just modified this line and commented these two lines environment in order to use this variable. And in here you are setting up Nextcloud to be allowed to access a directory in the host, which will be this subvolume that we just created for that purpose. We are going to store all of our user data in here in this subvolume we created for that purpose. That's gonna be all. So just delete it, delete these two lines if you need to. If your port 80 is blocked, then keep it like this. Okay, that's what this is saying. So in the deployment, we are going to deploy it from this file. So we're gonna do that. Let's do it. Let's clear this console. Ctrl Shift V, and now it created the master container. In case you mess with this configuration, or you have to come back and do this tutorial all over again, you will follow all these steps. You cannot skip any step in order to make a fresh install of again your master container, because already it is deployed. Let's check it out. So sudo docker ps, and now I have my container that is called Nextcloud master container, and it has this ID. It is already created. If you want to delete this and start all over again, you have to follow all these steps. So this will remove the volumes that the master container created, and it's gonna delete the container itself. And this one is for checking that no volume or container is still in your server. And this one is to remove the ACME. You need to make the ACME registration and all that all over again, because these certificates won't work if you install another container. So just make another of these certificates, and that's it. Delete all this directory that you just created. Clear sudo 3 and mnt. You want to delete this directory that you created with all this information, because you have to do this all over again. Okay, just in case you need to make another fresh install of all this tutorial. And in configuration, we're going to configure our Nextcloud instance. So you copy this and you paste it here, and you will have like this website prompt. So you go to advanced and you proceed, and you will need to save this password or passphrase. So you're gonna do that because you might need this in the future. So you're going to create this file. Everything is gonna be in this Nextcloud AIO configuration directory. So everything is gonna be there. You are storing everything, all the configuration and passwords in this directory. So don't worry about if you need to find this information, you will find it in this directory. So you go like this, and you create this file, and you're gonna copy this, and you're gonna store it in here, and Control X, Y, and enter. And now you saved the file, and you will need that in the next step. So you go ahead and you paste the same information, the same password or passphrase, and in here it says it is prompting you backup in case you want to restore a former backup or a former instance of Nextcloud. We don't have one, so it's okay, but in the future we will have this backup, and so you can backup restore from that backup. Okay, and here you will find more information. If you needed to change the data directory, you should have done that in the compose step before, but we didn't because we are not going to store our user data inside the container, so we're gonna leave it like that, and we're going to use this subdomain that we created with Docker DNS. So we proceed with this one. DNS is not set to this domain. It's this one. So in here you will have to configure your instance. So we are in this step: configure Nextcloud instance with your preferred apps and your location. So I personally will not use imaginary because I do not like to have a lot of previous files. It's a lot of junk, so I will not use any previews in my instance. If you really need previews of your files, just keep this one, but I will not. I will just keep Nextcloud Office with Collabora app. Other than that, I will not use Nextcloud Talk or Whiteboard. If you need, you can install these applications and save the changes. So now we set these optional containers, and now we go with the time zone. So you can check your time zone here. For me this one is right, so you save it. And in case you need more applications, here you will find more applications for your Nextcloud instance. In case I needed some of these, I will install them later directly in my Docker. I will not do that. I will not install these applications through Nextcloud. I would rather install these through Docker so I can configure them as I want. So I will not use any of them, but in case you need any of these, go ahead and install them, and that's gonna be all. So you go with download and start containers, and in here it's installing these containers, and you can always come back to this configuration from inside your instance, and I will show you in a second how you should come back to this configuration website, because if you type this directly, you will not be allowed to configure or enter into the configuration because the Nextcloud instance is running. So I will show you how to do that. So in order to see if this is done, you can reload or go to the Apache log, and you will see when this is telling you that it's serving the instance correctly. So let's wait until this is done. Okay, so once it says like serving initial configuration, you are good to go. You can come back here, reload, and now everything is up and running. That's pretty good. Let's check the containers here with sudo docker ps, and now we have all the containers that the master container created or deployed, and you'll have the IDs and they are up, so that's pretty nice. And the initial password for your admin is in here, so we are going to change this password right away for the admin user. So you have to log in with admin and this one, And this is the initial or intro video for your Nextcloud instance. In here you will have a lot of information about your instance, how you can set it up. Okay, so first thing to do is apart from all your custom configuration, the first thing we have to do is change our password. So you go here to the settings panel and you go to personal and you go to security, and you're going to change the password right away for one that is going to work. That's it. Okay, and I highly recommend you use a two-factor authentication. You can use your Google Authenticator app in order to give you the code every time you log into your server. You will be requested a code from your Google app. So you enable it, you go to your app, scan this QR code, and you will be good to go. The app will give you a code and you will authenticate here, and it will be enabled for your user. So this, I highly recommend to use this one, so you will avoid brute force to your server. Okay, you have to enable these apps. So you go, first of all, you go to apps, disable apps. You have to go to apps, and you have to go to disable apps. So we're going to enable external storage support. We're going to enable this one. So after you have enabled this one, now you will find this option. If you don't allow it from here, you will not have or see this option in the administration settings. So you go again to administration settings, administration panel, and you go to external storage, and in here we are going to configure our external storage that is local, is in our Raspberry Pi. So you go here and you can name this one as SDA3 with the subvolume Nextcloud, or whatever you want. It's just a name. It will not create a name here. Sudo 3 and mnt. It will not create a subdirectory inside this one. You will not see that one. It's just for Nextcloud settings. So you can leave it like this, or whatever personal file name, folder name that you want to give it. So you go to local, because it's in your server, inside your server, the external storage. Authentication, you will keep it like none, and the configuration, in the location, we're going to put to type this directory where it is located, which is this one, mnt subvolumes Nextcloud. It's this one, mnt subvolumes and Nextcloud. This is the directory where we mounted our external storage. So you go like here, copy this one, paste it here, and let's say it's available for all people, or if you want to select some people, you can do that here, or some specific user, you can do this, but let's say all people. Okay. Okay, so now as you see, it is correctly set up. So let's check. You can go here to files, and in here you will find this directory, which is pretty good. So that's pretty much all you had to configure. And if you want to create new users and groups, you can do that. just if you don't want to follow these optional extra configurations. This is optional. This is what I am going to do because I don't need to have previews, and nor I don't want my new users to have these example files. So I'm gonna delete all of them except this directory. I'm gonna delete them. So in case you want your new users to have these optional files, so you just can go ahead to accounts and you can create them right now. This is your user, your current user. You can change the name, you can set it up, but I will not create any new account or anything until I set these optional steps. So I'm going to do these extra configurations, and then I will come back here and I will create my users. Okay, so I don't want to have this in my Nextcloud, so I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm going to go to external storage to deleted files. This is like the trash bin, and I don't want these files. I want to delete them permanently. I don't need them. I want my Nextcloud to be as clean as possible, and all my files are not going to be in my Nextcloud volume. They are going to be in the external storage. That's very important. That's how I set it up. So all your information should be inside here. So in here you can create, let's say we're going to create a file that is going to be my persistent file. Hello. So this is going to be a file persisted. So in case you delete your container or your entire operating system, all this information is going to remain inside the SDA3 in the subvolume Nextcloud. Let's check this out. So we're going to run this command again, and now you see here that you have your file. Even though you delete your configuration subvolume or your container that is not even in this directory MNT, it is in the variables in the OS, you will still have this persisted file. So all your files are going to be persisted as long as you don't mess with this Nextcloud subvolume. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have my configuration in another directory and my personal user files in another subvolume, and my Docker containers in the OS. So that's what I wanted to do. And now I'm gonna start the extra configurations. So first of all, you have to stop the containers from this website, which is this one. But I told you if you type this directly, you will not be able to log in. So the best option, the recommended option, is to go through your Nextcloud instance. So you go here and you go to administration settings, and in here you will open this one, the first link, and you will have now this configuration again, which is your server's IP in the port 8080, which is this one. But it's okay, we can close this one. And now in here I'm going to stop all the containers. In case you need to redeploy all your instance, you have to follow these steps. Go to this website, stop the containers, and do all these commands here. Uninstall all the containers, stop all the containers from here, and all these commands. So this was the first step, to stop them. So once you stop this is the log. Once you stopped, you can start deleting all the volumes and all that, just in case you need to do something like that. So right now we are going to edit this configuration file. So let's go here, clear the console, Ctrl+Shift+B, and in here there is there are some configurations you can set up. So I'm going to leave with no previews of any file. So this will prevent Nextcloud to create preview files. And you will see even in a fresh install, there are a lot of these, and you will see in a moment why I do not like these preview files. So I'm gonna set this to 0 and the quality of these previews to 1%. So it won't even do any preview. So that's in here. You go to the max and you set it to 0, this one to 0, and this one to not 60% but 1. I don't want to have any previews file. And in providers we are going to leave the array empty. So you have to go here and now you leave this as empty. That's what I need. You can even leave this like this. So now no application will be able to do is allowed. This is the list of allowed application, and it is set to none. None application is allowed to make any preview. And we are going to set this to false. We are not going to allow any previews. False. And that's gonna be it. You can set the retention of the trash bin to delete at every 30 days. You can set it to 1 week or 15 days. It depends on you. I will keep it this like that. And these are the versions of the files. Some applications might do some version files. So they start to delete old versions of 30 days or more. And you can set many more options here, but I will just keep it like that. So Ctrl X, Y, and enter. So this file is inside the volume of Nextcloud. So it is persistent. So your configuration is persistent through restarts and start containers. It's going to be persistent, this configuration. So you just have to do it once. And now we're going to delete the previews of the folders and files that by default were created. So you're going to see how many directories the previews make. So I don't like that. That's why I know I'm not allowing any previews. So all these directories were only for previews. That's why I don't like previews. They leave a lot of junk files. So that's it, clear. And now I'm going to leave the skeleton of the initial users empty. So you're going to do that with this command. We are going to delete all these default files, images, and all that. So this is what it deleted. It deleted some example photos and documents we don't really need. And it's going to apply for all of the new users because it's the skeleton. If you want to have an README for new users or your custom photos or pictures for all users, you should paste it in this directory. But I really don't recommend that. I recommend an empty skeleton. So each user can start like without any information. Now you can start them again. Okay, so once this is all done again, this password is not working anymore. We changed this one. So right now you can go to your Nextcloud instance. Okay, and you go with files. And now you can start creating your new users. So your new users are going to have this empty skeleton. Let's see. So we're going to create one. Accounts. We're going to create one. So account name, I'm gonna put my wife. Password required. And that's gonna be all. It's gonna be an admin. And that's it. And that's it. We created this account or user, so my wife. So we're going to check this new user. So my wife and the password. So this is the again the intro video that will explain to your new user what he can do or what she can do. And now you see here the skeleton is really empty. It's not like the first one we by default we created. The new users will have this empty skeleton. That's very important to know before you start making these users. Just go ahead and create your extra configuration just in case you want. If you want them to have the initial or default files and photos, and you will just start creating them and you will skip this. You can skip this whole step. Okay guys, so once you've done the optional extra configurations, we can copy the files from the server directly through to the Nextcloud subvolume. So there are two options to do that. The first one is through the web interface of Nextcloud, and the other one, and the fastest and better, is to copy your files from your server directly to your subvolume Nextcloud. You can do that connecting an USB drive to your server and copying the files to the subvolume. So let's say your drive or your personal videos and files, all of them are in a directory in home. Let's say you have this file and it is called, let's create one. So touch and my homework.txt. Let's say you have this file. We're going to edit this one. Nano my homework. This is my homework. Control X, Y, and enter. And list with list options. This directory. And you will see that in here in home, we have this file and the owner is my user. It could be root or your user. So to have in mind, your Nextcloud only works with the permissions for Nextcloud, not for other users. So you have to change this owner and permissions in order to Nextcloud to work properly. You have to move this to your subvolume Nextcloud and give these files the permissions required. So you can first of all copy or move the files. So you can do this with sudo move verbose and this directory my homework to mnt subvolumes Nextcloud. We're going to do this procedure with all of your files that you want to copy or move to your Nextcloud. So you already moved this file. So let's check it is in our subvolume Nextcloud. Sudo free and mnt subvolumes Nextcloud. Okay. So now we see in our Nextcloud there is this file in here in our subvolume. Have in mind that it's very important to have your containers stopped. So when you move your personal files, have in mind to have your containers stopped so you won't have any issues. Okay. And after you have moved your files, you can apply the correct permissions. and let's list them in here. Sudo list with list option in mnt subvolumes Nextcloud. So now you see all your files have the correct permissions and owner and group for all of your files and directories. So this is the correct way to do that. And now you will see that you can edit. After this, you can edit your files properly and you will not have any issue with them. And we have to renew your IP every 5 minutes because some ISPs, internet service providers, change this IP address, your public IP address. So if you do not want to lose access to your server, you need to have the current and updated public IP address pointing from your domain to your server. In order to do that, we are going to create a script and we are going to run that script every 5 minutes using a cron job. So the first thing to do is to create these directories. So this directory, first of all, that DNS script is where we are going to store the script that is going to be run by cron tab. So let's create this one. Let's create this directory. And let's create this script. And in this script, we are going to have this information. Okay, from here, write the following script with the correct token and keep IP empty. So you're going to paste it here. Oh, Control Shift. You're going to copy this and you're going to paste it here. And the only thing you are going to modify is this for your domain and token. So you are going to modify this with this is my domain and ampersand and your token. Let's say your token is 1 2 3 4 5 6, whatever your token is, and you will only leave IP empty. Your DNS will recognize automatically which IP this message is coming from, and as this will be executed from your server, DNS will automatically know your current IP. And so what this script does is, first of all, it uses these variables in order to use the correct cron tab command. So it will look in this path, the cron tab, and you are going to have your URL of your domain, and we are going to log it in case there is any error. We are going to log it in this file we just are going to create next. So you have your log, your domain, your token, and your IP automatically in this script. And what this is going to do is going to save the response in this variable, and it will save this information of the response. And if the curl commands fails, it will log the error. And if the response from DNS is not okay, it will log the error. But the successful IP updates will not be logged, so your log is not too big with the time. And we are going to run this script every 5 minutes. So you save it with Ctrl X, Y, and Enter. After that, we are going to create the log. This is very important. So we're going to create this directory, this log, this file, and then we are going to give it the correct permissions. So we're going to create this one, and we are going to modify the permissions so it has the correct permissions. So let's see how it's done. So sudo tree mnt subvolume config and DNS. So inside this directory that we just created in the config files subvolume, we have the error log and the script that we are going to run every 5 minutes. So to do that, we are going to change its permissions and create a cron job. We are going to change the permission of this script that we just created. So copy this command and run this as sudo. So to change these permissions, we are going to run this as sudo. So you go to your terminal, sudo, and Ctrl+Shift+B, and run this command. And now you change the permission to execute this script. And we are going to create the cron job. So we are going to edit this file. And you're going to go all the way down there, and you're going to add this line with the correct comment to know what this line does in the future. So you come here and you paste it, and your script will be run every 5 minutes, and it will not have any logs because you already manually created your log. So there is no need to do that twice. So you save it with Ctrl+X, Y, and enter. I will update this guide. So you will have the chmod already as sudo. I'm going to edit this command right now. So when you copy and paste it, you will have already sudo in this guide. So there is no need to run this as sudo twice. Just copy this one. So just make sure that it says sudo at the beginning of this line. I will do that. I will update this guide. And that is how you renew your public IP every 5 minutes with this cron job. And this is how you copy all your files that should be available and without any problem here in your instance. So you open your Nextcloud, go to your files, and in here, this directory you created for the subvolume, that is like an external storage, and in here you will have all your files organized. If you moved entire directories with photos or projects that you wanted to have in your Nextcloud, you will be able to see all your files inside this web interface. And now you can edit these files if you want. You have the correct permissions to do that. So let's say this one, there is no changes, so I'm gonna make a change. This is a change, and now I will save it. Let's see, and it is saved correctly. So you will see here again, and it was successfully saved. That's because I ran this command changing the permissions and owner to Nextcloud, and Nextcloud can edit, view, execute these files, but none other user than Nextcloud can do that. So this is pretty good if you have other users in your server, they cannot access this. That's how Nextcloud recommends your files to be. Let's clear this console and let's go for the last step. And for the backup, you're going to come back here to this configuration website, and you are going to set your backup. So the directory is this one. You're going to create this directory. No, it's already created. So you just have to set it up in here. Ctrl+B. This is this directory. Sudo 3 mnt is this directory. In here you will have your backup. All your configuration of Nextcloud is going to remain in this directory. Okay, so that's why you created this directory inside the configuration file and the project Nextcloud. You might have another projects inside this subvolume. So we are inside this project, and inside this project we have our backup in the config directory, and all of our personal files in the Nextcloud subvolume we created for that. This is going to be our NAS. So and that's it. If in case you want to use a remote pork repo, it's okay. So we're going to submit the backup location, and in here you will be given this encryption password. This is very important. If you want to restore from this backup, this password is required. So we are going to save it inside our project Nextcloud configuration, where all our important files lay. So we have our ACME for the credentials of Nextcloud. We have the compose YAML, where we can redeploy this again or configure it later and redeploy this again. We have our backup, that is where we are going to store our Nextcloud's backup configuration, and we'll have a passphrase. This was a temporary one for the Nextcloud instance, and now we're going to create the backup file to store this information. So you go here and you create this file and you store that information. You create this file and you save this password. You're going to save this one. This one is very important. You cannot lose this one. If you lose this one, you lose the access to your configuration. So you go back here, you paste it. This is your password. So Control X, Y, and enter. And let's see. It is called backup password. Clear sudo mnt sudo 3 mnt. So in here you will have now created this backup password. This is going to be useful for restoring your backup here. Okay, so that's gonna be all. That's how you have your Nextcloud data. And very important, store all your files, and you have to tell all your users to use this directory. Do not use a directory in here, because it will make your configuration file, your configuration backup big, and it's not gonna be organized. One thing about Nextcloud is that you cannot separate backup from your user data. Your configuration and your user data are going to be in the same backup. If you do not want that, if you only want your backup in this file, so just store all your personal information, user files here in this subvolume. To do that, you have to save all your files inside this directory, inside your external storage. This is like an USB. So in here you can create a folder. You can create a folder and organize by photos or whatever you want to set. In here you can set or paste all your information. Okay, once this is done, you can start your containers again. And this is the backup that we created. So let's see the size of this backup. It should be inside this directory. Let's run this command again, and now we have inside this directory we have our backup, and it is encrypted. So let's see clear. So we go with sudo disk usage and summarize in human readable options, and we go with mnt subvolume, cd in config subvolume in the project Nextcloud, and the config directory. Let's see. So this is the size, 328 megabytes of this directory. So that's gonna be all. I hope you liked. In the next projects we are going to install more services. So once again, I hope you liked. Subscribe to my channel to see how this project is evolving, and I hope to see you in the next one.